I don't sit and think that this is going to happen to me all over again. I don't sit and think, oh, I'm going to be sad around this time. It just happens. You know, I would try and do things to make myself not think about it, or, oh, this year I need to do something to honor him. Maybe that will help. Just comes differently every year.
Welcome to the Resilience Reborn podcast. We are your hosts, Angie
and Easley. Each episode, we bring you powerful stories of people who have faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger.
We'll find hope together, one story at a time. Now, let's dive in.
Hi, and welcome to Resilience Reborn. I'm Angie Easley. Today, I'm just going to do a solo episode and just kind of speak to something that's been on my mind lately, something that kind of occurs for me every year in different capacities. I just went through this hard part of my journey every year. And so I just wanted to come on and share some thoughts and what happens with me during this time. So February 16th was the 19th year anniversary of my late husband Kyle's death. And I know you just are getting into my story, but this is just, February is a hard month for me. The week of the 16th is always very, very hard for me. So I made this post on social media, and I want to start out by reading what I wrote, because it kind of just tells everything within my being of what I feel. And so I just want to start out by reading that, and then I'm going to go into some more detail from there. So this week, one of the most terrible weeks of my journey in this world, and my body feels it every year. Trauma, pain, and grief have been stored in my very being, and no matter the years that have passed, I relive the days just like 19 years ago. So many details of him, the life we lived, have become further from my memory, but the days that led up to and that tragic day never fade. The pain lessened as years passed. This was all my new normal, my life now. I had to accept it, find courage, strength, and the power to keep living for whatever was in store for me on this journey. There were days I never thought I would love again, didn't even think my heart had the capacity to. My life that encapsulated everything I was had been forever changed. Never to be the same, and it was my choice to keep breathing this air. Life is not easy. Your path is what you choose to make it from what you are dealt. It takes hard work. It takes showing up for yourself every day. It takes finding the purpose your feet walk this earth. So, you know, I think that it's taken me a long time to realize what exactly is happening every single year around that time, or every birthday, or every holiday. Trauma is 100% stored in your body. You know, it's funny because when Trey started, you know, after he kind of coped and learned a lot about himself and losing his mom at 15, and then he lost his dad, I could tell around certain times that, you know, he was just not himself. He might have been irritable. And so we had a conversation about that. And he's like, but I'm not thinking about that. And I said, well, you don't have to consciously be thinking about it. It's in you. It is, your trauma is stored there. For me, so much happened that week, or the days surrounding the day of the plane crash. You know, I brought up the fact that I didn't want him to go again, that I had that premonition. It was Valentine's Day, so he cooked this great meal at home for me. I came home from teaching a voice lesson, and he had it all laid out on the dining room table. I remember that vividly. I remember on the 15th just dreading this day and thinking, I know what's coming. And then the actual day of the crash, not, you know, just being so, I don't even know the word. I just felt this depth of that something crazy was about to happen and my life was going to be forever changed. And then when the call actually happened. So that's all I remember. I don't sit and think that this is going to happen to me all over again. I don't sit and think, oh, I'm going to be sad around this time. It just happens. I would try and do things to make myself not think about it, or, oh, this year I need to do something to honor him. Maybe that will help. Just comes differently every year. There were years that I was really, really into what was happening in my life. I was busy, so it didn't come crashing down. Then other years, I can't quit sobbing about it. And I was like, what is going on, And I started to read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And just from talking with a lot of other people, it 100% is just in me. The trauma is stored. Your body knows when things have occurred, whether it's, in your conscious mind, you are still, living and breathing what happened to you. So, when I was talking to Trey about it, I said, I know you're not consciously thinking about your dad or your mom, but you're remembering that in whatever way that comes. And so it made a lot of sense to him that the trauma is stored and you have to do certain things to try and heal that trauma. I don't know how I will ever not relive what happened. It was so tragic, and I'm always caught in between. I knew it was going to happen, but what if I didn't? I actually went to a retreat once, and I was with some other widows, and some of them were caretakers for their husband because they had terminal cancer, things like that. So they saw the long drawn out process of losing their spouse or their mother or their father, whoever it may be. And we sat, and they often said, we don't know that we would want it to happen your way because it was so sudden. And I'm on the other side saying, I don't know that I would want it to happen your way. It's all perspective. I think on one hand, those people were able to have their last moments with them in some capacity. It gave them the time to kind of process a little bit as much as you can, where for me, it just came to a stop. I had the premonition, but there was no way of telling for sure that was going to happen. So it's just, the way that you look at it. And then I think about those people that do have to live with, that goodbye that they know it's coming, but it's not there yet, and all the trauma that they have with that versus something sudden. So I don't know. It's really, really just complex to even think about all of it. I think around the time of when it actually occurred, I think about my life then. And that brings me, I try for it to bring me joy, but a lot of the time it brings me sadness. Because in reality, I am not who I was then, right? Everything that has happened from that moment forward has built me to who I am today. And I think when I go through this certain time, or on, the birthday of Kyle, or thinking about the holidays that we spent together, I go back and I am thinking about my life then. And it's taken me a while to change my perspective into thinking, oh, I'm blessed that I had that life. For a long time, it was, I want it back. Why was it taken from me? Why did this happen to me? And I would say that was probably the first 3 or 4 years after the plane crash. And then as I found new love and I stepped into my current journey, I started to see that there is beauty in, thinking about the past and reminiscing. So when it comes to this week and trying to sort through all of my feelings, I do really try to think about how blessed I was, and that, Kyle chose me, I chose him. I was able to have a wonderful relationship and to love him and for him to love me and to experience that and all the things that came with it. So I think mindset is something that I try to focus on, whereas years ago, I wasn't even there yet, right? I didn't even know how to do that. I was just living each day as it came. I didn't try analyze my thoughts, right? I was just either grieving or crying or remembering. And then I was like, well, how come after the 16th of February, I seem to be, I do a little bit better. I don't know why, but I think it's because I know I'm okay. I know I was okay. I know that I have traveled this path and it's okay. I'm okay. So I am allowed to have that time to remember and to grieve, but I'm going to come out on the other side. At least that's what I'm choosing to believe. And I'm choosing to live my life in that way, that I did have the courage and the strength to get up every single day and to move forward in some way. Don't get me wrong. There were moments that I wanted to just crumble and make it all go away. But that wasn't the path for me. That I wasn't meant to do that. I was meant to keep living and to figure out how I could turn this tragedy into something that purpose. It took me so long to figure that out. I think everything has taken me, and I don't even know that I have it all figured out just yet. It's kind of been interesting as Trey's actually gone along with his grief journey, just because he didn't even know that he was on that path or that journey, because he didn't really even acknowledge the fact that his mom did die when he was 15. So it's been actually kind of fun for me to have those conversations with him and just kind of see where he's at and guide him a little bit on that. But I don't know. I just wanted to kind of talk about that it's okay that you have that time, and no matter how much time passes, you are still going to relive things and you are still going to remember things, and it can bring you to tears. It can hit you in a completely different way. I think it's just a matter of how you learn to deal and cope with that, and that you actually sit with your thoughts in your space and just know that no matter what you're doing or how you're doing it, there is no rule book. Every week that that the anniversary comes up of his death, it is different for me. It has been different every single year. And I don't know the reasons, but I know that it's okay. And I can continue to reflect and learn from it and try and figure out what is best for me in my grief journey. So I just need for everyone to know that there is purpose with your journey and what you relive around that hard time, the holidays, the anniversaries, all that. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing or how you're doing it. And I don't think for a number of years that I actually believed that or I understood it. I tried to make up excuses as to why I shouldn't be sad or I shouldn't cry or I shouldn't talk about it. I stayed silent for a long time. Before I really got into conversations with Trey, he just knew to kind of just stay away from me and just let me be, like, really the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th of February. He just knew that it was hard for me. I didn't talk about it a lot of years. You know, my kids didn't even know about this part of my life until, you know, they were older. So I kind of had to put on this mask and kind of hide things during that time because I didn't want them to know I was upset, or to, you know, if they knew that I was upset about it, well, why? And then I would have to go into my story, which they didn't know at the time. So I think I just masked it for a long time. And I had this perception that I shouldn't talk about it because so many people believe that it is when you remarry or you have a life after something like that happens, that you are just, you're good. And that is the furthest from the truth. I am good. I am happy. And I am loving that I am able to have this life and to love again. I wish that I hadn't for so many years covered up my feelings and this hard week. I wish that I would have talked about it. I wish that I would have had conversations with Trey just so he could understand me more. And then also I'm getting that out in the open, and I'm not just pushing it down for it just to resurface in different ways or different times. So I just need to express that no matter where you are in your grief journey, that there are going to be times that are hard, and that you just have to take them as they come and know that whatever you're doing, it's okay. There's no right, there's no wrong. A hard week's a hard week. Hard day is a hard day, and you're going to push through and you're going to get through it. And you have so many people that can help you. I hope that this space that I'm sharing with you right now is helpful, and it has given you a little bit of insight to how maybe you can look at what's going on with you from a different perspective, a different angle, and just know that you're here for a reason. You are here living for a reason. And it's really, at the end of the day, what you choose to do with that in whatever way you choose. And that's powerful. Your journey can be powerful, and you can accomplish so much from it. So I really thank you for listening today and sharing this space with me. And I just hope that this gave you a sense of peace and inspiration, and just knowing that whatever path you're on is your path and your journey, and it will be what it will be, and that's okay. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us on the Resilience Reborn podcast. We hope today's stories provided you hope and inspiration to always be resilient.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to our channel. You can also interact with us on our Facebook community page, which you can find by searching Resilience Reborn on Facebook.
Remember, through resilience and recovery, you are never alone. Together,
we grow stronger. See you next time.